What is a variable? A variable is a container of data. Think of it like a box where you store values and you can change the contents of that box whenever you need to. For example, if you want to keep track of your player's health, score or speed, you'd use variables to store and update that data. To create a variable in C#, the basic structure is this: protection, type, name, value. The name can be whatever you want it to be. Try to use names that will help you and others understand what the variable is about. Names can contain letters, digits, and the underscore character. They must begin with a letter or underscore. That letter is usually lowercase. They cannot contain white space, and they are case sensitive. That means that those two are two different variables. Let's have a look at some of the most common variable types in C#. A variable with type int can only contain whole numbers. That could be how many items there are on our inventory, or how many laps has a little race car completed. A float can hold real numbers, meaning it can store numbers with decimals. Just remember, when you write a float, you need to add an f at the end of the value to tell C# it's a floating point number. It's perfect for tracking things like speed. A variable with type bool can only have two values: true or false. This is useful for things like whether a door is locked or not, or if our player touches the ground or not, or whatever yes or no question. You get the point. A variable with type string contains text, always enclosed in quotes. Perfect for player names or dialogue messages. But since this isn't just C#, but it's C# in Unity, we have access to some special variable types thanks to Unity's built-in libraries. This variable can contain any game object on our scene. This variable contains 2D position data, useful for coordinates in a 2D game. This variable contains, well, you guessed it, color. While we've covered some variable types, there are tons more that you will encounter as you dive deeper into game development. Now, let's talk about protection. Variable protection. Variables can either be private or public. A private variable is only accessible inside the script where it's defined. Use this for data you don't want other scripts messing with. A public variable, on the other hand, can also be accessed by other scripts or changed directly in Unity's inspector. Alright, enough theory. Let's see some variables in action. Let's say that we have this traffic light and we want it to change from red to green every 3 seconds. As you can see, our object consists of 3 pieces. The main part is just the traffic light object itself, and the other two are the top light and bottom light. Let's open up the script. Here you can see some variables. You may notice that not every variable has a value assigned to it. We can give a value to public variables through the inspector, and some other variables can have their value changed as the script runs. Don't worry about the code that you may not understand yet, focus on the variables. Here you have 2 public game object variables to store the top and bottom light. Then I made 3 color variables, one for red, one for green and one for grey. That color.red is a built-in value for color red, and you can also give RGB values to a color variable. Then we have 2 float variables to keep track of time. Finally, a bool variable to check whether or not the red light is on. As you can see, light top and light bot are public variables. That means we can access them through the inspector. You can expose private variables in the inspector by using the serialize field attribute. It's an easy way to assign that type of value just by dragging and dropping. Notice how these color variables are private. That means we cannot manipulate them through some other script. As you can see, we can now change their values through the inspector. Also notice how this switch time is public. We can also change that value, and we don't have to open and close our script every time. Let's say we want our light to change every 1 second. You can also try setting up this little thing by yourself and test it. I hope you learned something from this today, and thanks for watching.